Hey, what up, everybody? Welcome to Philly Baseball Talk on 97.5, the Fanatics YouTube page. I am your host, Jon Marks, the host of Middays with Marks on 97.5, the Fanatic, along with Sean Brace and Ray Dunn. Make sure you are liking and subscribing to 97.5, the Fanatic on YouTube. Original programming like this, off-air programming like this, you can find on 97.5, the Fanatics YouTube page. Just make sure you're subscribing and liking. But we put all of our stuff out there, from our shows to our segments to our interviews. So if you miss anything from the radio station or you miss anything from the live shows during the day, just check out 97.5 The Fanatic on YouTube. You can find everything. This is Philly Baseball Talk. Brendan Dutz is the producer of the program, and we have a lot to talk about, starting with Aaron Nola. That is correct. Aaron Nola, who I don't even feel good about this, but Aaron Nola is struggling. We know this. Aaron Nola was struggling last year. I didn't like the contract that the Phillies signed Aaron Nola to way back a couple of years ago, but you're not getting away from that now, and really the conversation needs to move away from the contract and exactly what you can do with Aaron Nola, which honestly really isn't a lot. He signed for the next 4 3/4 years, and unfortunately his stuff is just deteriorating right before our eyes, or it has already deteriorated before our eyes, and I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think the fastball is going to get more velocity. I don't think his stuff is going to get more movement, and his last start was not a great one. It wasn't the worst of the season, but 5 innings and 4 runs. A lot of people are going to point to that and say, hey, you're making $25 million. You can't do that. At this point, I would almost take that in every start that he goes out and does, because at least in theory, it's going to keep you in the game. Giving up 5 or 6 runs early, like he did last time, he gave up those 6 early runs. It didn't kill the Phillies. Probably for the first time this year, they came back. They ended up winning that game at Pittsburgh. But Nola's got to be better, but he doesn't got to be better, right? Unfortunately, this may be what Aaron Nola is. When you look at the type of pitcher he is right now, if you go back to the beginning of last season, so this just isn't a short sample size of his 10 starts this season. You're going back to his starts last season as well. He's one of the worst starters in baseball, an ERA over 6. So the ERA is not good this year. It's not good going back all the way to the beginning of last year as well. And unfortunately for Aaron Nola, I'm not really sure what you do to fix things. You can try to pitch backwards. You can try to develop other pitches. He appears to be healthy. His stuff just is his stuff at this point. Low 90s fastball, a curveball that's pretty good, but his curveball has to be played off of his fastball, and he has no fastball command. So when you're just throwing meatballs right down the middle of the plate, guess what's going to happen? Major League Baseball pitchers batters are going to hit it. So take a look. Luke Arcady put this out earlier today. Aaron Nola's fastball is one of the worst pitches, if not the worst pitch in baseball. Look at the batting averages against Nola's fastball from 2022. That's amazing. A 147 average in 2022, and slowly but surely, and it's really exploded this year, to a 432 average. I don't think it can be that bad to where hitters are hitting 432 against it, but it's not good. So take a look. Sean Brace during the Middays with Marks show today, he pulls this gem out of there. The best pitch in baseball, and this is according to whatever the fan graph is or whatever analytic it is. Christopher Sanchez's changeup is the best pitch in baseball. Out of 613 pitchers, it's the best. The worst pitch in baseball is Aaron Nola's 4-seam fastball. You know what that means? And there it is right there to detail it. You know what that means? It means it's flat. It means it's straight. It means it has no movement. And it means that it's very, very hittable. So what do you do? That's the big question. What do you do? I'm not sure you can do anything about it other than maybe tweak a mechanic here or there, or really totally go away from throwing that 4-seam fastball. So a 4-seam fastball is essentially a straight fastball. A 2-seamer is more of a cutter or a fastball with movement. But a 4-seamer, that's where you should have your most velocity. It's also your straightest. Some pitchers don't even throw four-seam fastballs really, or they'll throw it less amount of a time. Now, a guy like Zach Wheeler would throw the four-seam fastball. It's getting up there at 98 miles an hour. It doesn't have movement, but it has high velocity. As Zach Wheeler's gotten older, he's throwing less of those, and he's really learning to throw, or he's really learned to throw secondary pitches. That's what's made Zach Wheeler one of the best starters in baseball over the last however many years with the Phillies. But with Aaron Nola, man, he's throwing a four-seam fastball that shouldn't be 92, 93 miles an hour, but it is, and it doesn't have any movement, and he doesn't have any command over it. So in other words, when he's forced to throw it, which he doesn't want to throw, guys aren't missing it. And the secondary pitches, now guys are able to, if God forbid Aaron Nola gets 2 strikes, and if you watch the games, you see this, he can't put batters away because guys will just sit on the off speed and sit on the curveball knowing that they can easily foul off a fastball if Nola decides to throw a fastball in there. So then you sit on the curveball, and when Nola doesn't like throwing that fastball because he doesn't have command or he's throwing it right down the middle, then he's overly using the curveball, overusing the off-speed stuff, and guys are sitting on it. So that's how you see so many hard hit balls. That's why you see so many hits, and typically that's why you see so many home runs with Aaron Nola. Jason Stark also had something here. He's on with Unfiltered today with Ricky Bo and Bill, and I totally agree with Jason when he says that it's not early anymore. And I don't know how they figure it out. Leadoff hitters, the on-base percentage, the 3-4 hitters, the slugging percentage, men on base is trouble. This is a big-time worry. Now, the question is, what do you do with Aaron Nola from here? I don't really think you can do anything other than continue to put him out there every 5 days and hope that he's able to give you 5 innings and 3 or 4 or 5 runs. If you look at his 10 starts this year, he's given you quality starts, I believe, in 4 outings. And then there's another outing where he didn't go 5 innings, but it was an okay. And then yesterday on Wednesday, he went five innings and he gave you 4 runs. Sign me up right now for an Aaron Nola start where he gives up 4 runs in 5 innings. Honestly, right now, I think that's kind of what Aaron Nola is. And that's not great, and it may not even be good enough, but at least he chews up innings, and he will keep you in a game, theoretically. It's not a $25 million pitcher. It's not even a 4th pitcher on the staff, and Andrew Painter hasn't looked great this year either. So at the bottom of your rotation between Andrew Painter and Aaron Nola, you have guys that have very hittable stuff, and they're not missing a lot of bats. Thankfully, your top 3 starters are really, really, really good, especially with Zach Wheeler being back right now. But I think you got to try to ride this out. And maybe Aaron Nola is able to start a cutter or a 2-seamer or a sinker or some type of other pitch to where he doesn't have to throw that straight 4-seam fastball. It's not going anywhere. Greg Maddux, late in his career, he wasn't throwing anything. He was throwing 87, 88 miles an hour on his fastball, but it wasn't that straight fastball. He was cutting it, and he was getting movement. So that'd be the first thing that I would do is say, hey, Nola, stop throwing that 4-seam fastball as much, and we need to get some movement. We need to get something else going on. He's really going to have to dig deep, and the Phillies are really going to have to dig deep to figure out how to solve Aaron Nola's issues. Phillies offense really has gotten going here over their most recent stretch, and it's helped carry the team, good starting pitching, but the offense, Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, even Trey Turner's got it going on a little bit. But when the Phillies struggle, and they are in desperate need of a right-handed bat. So the Phillies send Reyes back down to the minors because after initially coming up, and he really gave you some pop from left field as a right-handed bat, that wore off. He got sent back down to the minors, and Otto Kemp, get in the zone, Otto zone. He comes back up. Here's the problem. This cat can't hit a lick. And I don't know how many opportunities they're going to give him, but I'm waiting for him to be able to hit a left-handed hitter, a left-handed pitcher, and he just can't do it. So I'd seen this earlier today. Andrew Abbott, who made the start for Cincinnati in that final game, he looked like Cy Young out there against the Phillies. And this typically is what's happening when you get a left-handed starting pitcher against the Phillies this season. So if you take the openers out of it, when the Phillies have played against left-handed starters in 84 1/3 innings, and that's 15 games, They are 9-1 with a 2.24 ERA against the Phillies. That's a major problem. And it's a major issue. It's something that Dave Dombrowski went into the season telling us Otto Kemp was a championship caliber player. I might have bought into it a little bit too much. Signing Adolis Garcia as a guy that was going to have to make lefties pay from right field, great defense, but power potential, and a right-handed bat. And it just hasn't happened. Garcia really is struggling. He is everything that we hoped he wouldn't be. The defense is very good, but he's really turned into a hole in the lineup. Otto Kemp's giving you nothing. Bohm's starting to come around a little bit, and Turner's, again, been okay recently. But when you get a left-handed starter, you need your right-handed bats to make them pay for putting a lefty or for having a lefty out there. And the Phillies' right-handed bats just haven't done that. So what do? Well, first of all, you hope that internally it's taken care of. And that would have been Kemp. That would have been Reyes. That would have been potentially another minor league player that maybe was signed to a AAA contract that can be brought up. And it's all of a sudden it's like, wow, he actually is hitting pretty well. You're just trying to get to the trade deadline. And we're almost at the end of May. We're at Memorial Day coming up. So you're almost in June. And then you got to get another month going. And then some weeks after that before you get to the trade deadline. So really they have a number of weeks to be able to do it. And Dave Dombrowski is going to look for this year's Bader, this year's whoever, the Austin Hayes the year before that. Austin Hayes didn't work out. Bader really worked out. But you're going to be back on the trade market at the trade deadline looking for a right-handed bat. And honestly, you may need two right-handed bats as well because Reyes didn't work up here. Kemp, again, is not working up here. And Adolis Garcia. At least Garcia does have the power where if pitchers make mistakes, he can drive the ball and he can hit the ball hard. Kemp just hasn't given you anything this year. And he impressed me last year. The defense is never going to be great. The defense can hopefully just be adequate. But when you saw his power last year in a limited amount of time, limited at bats, he showed you good power. And maybe Dombrowski went too far. Maybe not, maybe. But went too far saying he's a championship caliber player. And I kind of agreed with it. I thought Kemp could give you something as a platoon bat, playing around the diamond, playing some left field, playing some third base, playing some second base. He has given you nothing at the major league level. He went back down to the minor leagues and he hit well. He can't do it in the majors. So this is a major problem for the lineup, but you just got to get to the trade deadline because Dave Dombrowski knows it's a problem. And if they can't fill it internally, which they're going to have problems doing, then this is what they're going to have to do. Could you potentially see Edmundo Sosa in left field? Potentially. They tried it last year. He struggled in left field, I believe, in the only game that he played in. It was a lot out there. Has he worked out doing it again? Has he tried to do it again? They're going to try him again. I would imagine they're going to try him again. But the right-handed bat continues to be a problem for the Phillies. All right, tough stretch for the Phillies coming up here. So pretty amazing. They lost 6 series in a row that got Rob Thompson fired. Don Mattingly comes in as the interim manager. They win 6 series in a row, and then they lose to the Reds. But Don Mattingly and the Phillies for the season, 25-25. So it's like they're starting over. So the Guardians come into town for a weekend set, 3 games, the worst weather game of the weekend. So who knows if they're going to play 3 games, but the worst weather game of the weekend is Saturday, the game that I'm going to, and the game that I have 25 tickets to. That's correct. That is my luck. And the weather forecast, I looked at the Action News weather forecast today. They're saying that it's going to be rain off and on, and the temperature's in the mid-50s. So it can't even rain all day. I feel like they're going to try to get the game in because it's an American League team that doesn't come in again. So am I going to be sitting with 24 other people, including a lot of kids, in the rain, in the 50-degree weather temperature on Saturday? Probably. I wish it just rained all day so they could postpone the game, maybe a doubleheader on Sunday. Anyway, the Phillies with 3 games against Cleveland, and they are a first-place team, so that is not going to be easy. But then from there, they head out west, 3 against the Padres, 3 against the Dodgers, and then they come home for 3 against the Padres at Citizens Bank Park. I'm looking forward to this stretch because when they fired Rob Thompson, we looked ahead to the schedule and said, all right, I can already see what's going to happen. They're going to turn things around because if you look at the teams that they're playing, it's a favorable schedule. Now, you still have to beat the teams that are on the schedule, but typically a team like the Phillies that has a high payroll and has a lot of star players and has a very good rotation should be able to beat up on the teams, the lesser teams in baseball. And that's exactly what the Phillies did. And it was a really, really nice stretch. The bats woke up a little bit, but the starting pitching is really what's changed because the bullpen hasn't been great. The offense has been inconsistent, but Wheeler's been dominant. Chris Sanchez, can we talk enough about this dude? He is an absolute stud. Luzardo has some off games, but he's been pretty good. We talked about Nola, and we talked about Painter a little bit as well. So, but the Phillies starting pitching is really being the biggest difference in what happened since Rob Thompson was fired and Don Mattingly came back. But the 9 coming up after the Guardians this weekend is a really, really good measuring stick of where the Phillies are. Because you can beat up on these bad teams, that's fine. But ultimately, Phillies fans are always going to go to the big picture of what does this team look like in September and October when you're playing the better teams. And the Padres and the Dodgers are among the best teams in baseball. And they're going to be duking it out and beating up on each other in the West to see who wins the West. So you could be facing the Padres or the Dodgers in the playoffs coming up. But true tests, true stacked rosters, true offensive teams, good starting pitching, good bullpens. It's going to be a good test for the Phillies to go out west. And really, I'm curious to see what they look like away from Citizens Bank Park. Sometimes it's good to get away and to be with each other on the road in bonding experiences and things like that. So we could be coming home and we could be saying after the West Coast trip of 9 games, and we could be licking our wounds, or we could be saying, hey, this Phillies team's for real. Let's go. And doesn't mean a hill of beans. It's still only May. There's so much baseball to be played. But the confidence the Phillies were playing with before this Red Series was legitimate. And you could feel it. Bryce had been in a zone. Kyle Schwarber, before the illness, where he missed all the games against the Reds, was going through a historic pace. 20 home runs, leading the league in home runs, over Ohtani, over Aaron Judge. He was on that kind of a pace, and the starting pitching was right there. So this is a really good test, and this is a really good measuring stick for where the Phillies are right now. I'm looking forward to the games. I'm looking forward to where we are as a team. So 9 games. Would I sign up for a 4-5? No, I don't know. No, I wouldn't. No, I'm not signing up for 4-5. 5-4? Now we're getting a little bit closer. 6-3, 5-4, I probably would. The last thing you want to see right now is a struggle against Cleveland this weekend, and then going out west, and then kind of limping back home, and then all the progress and all the ground that you made up to get back to 500. Now you're kind of spinning your wheels because the Phillies are kind of right back in there because they dropped off quite a bit. When you look at odds to win the NL East, they dropped off quite a bit. If you bought in with the Phillies when they were really, really struggling and among the worst teams in the National League, you got really good value because right now people are back. People are back, not necessarily beating the Braves, but like all you need is a bad stretch by the Braves and another good stretch by the Phillies, and they can be right there with Atlanta. A lot of baseball to play. Haven't made it through Memorial Day, but that Memorial Day marker that a lot of GMs and players and coaches talk about, this is kind of where the season ramps up, and you're like, all right, where are we? All right, we got to start to kick it in the gear. Jason Worth was on our show a couple weeks ago, maybe more than a couple weeks ago now, and he had said rather nonchalantly, oh, dude, the season didn't even start till after Memorial Day. So just remember, these guys play 162 a year, and they've been doing it for a long time. So they know that there's a lot of baseball that they play, and there's a lot of more baseball to be played. All right, this is Philly Baseball Talk on 97.5 The Fanatic's YouTube page. Again, make sure you're liking and subscribing to 97.5 The Fanatic. We put out great off-air content, and what we're doing right now with our shows and everything else and putting out the content that we do on the shows. Brendan Dutz, the producer of Philly Baseball Talk, he does such a great job on with me, Middays with Marks. He's pumping out content. So if you missed the shows, you can go back and watch any of our shows on YouTube, but you can also kind of pick and pop what you want to watch. You can go like our interview with Todd Zalecki, where we try to figure out what's wrong with Aaron Nola. That's available. I watched it earlier today. That's available on YouTube as well. So we appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you soon on Philly Baseball Talk.